Perfect. Okay, welcome everyone to Tzeh ulmad. Welcome Reb Yoir Adler, shlita, Rov Mayim, and speaker worldwide demand. And who's always come and still makes time to Tzeh ulmad. And I won't go over some of those tidbits we still carry and we still discuss, right? About the spies who went to Mitzrayim. And when you speak to another Yid, it's like davening a little bit, right? But it's very much appreciated that it takes time from the busy schedule to come here. Tonight's Tzeh ulmad, special Baomer edition, sponsored by Dr. Aaron Yapa Weitz in honor of the birth of a grandson to Rafal and Meira in Lakewood. Very much so. Go ahead.
BEREISHIS, the Chashva sponsor. It's always an honor to be here by Tzeh ulmad. Tzeh ulmad means to go out and explore different areas of Torah, not regular things that you hear inside the medrash in different yeshivas, things that you have to go out and look in other Sfarim. I think that was the objective of this movement called Tzeh ulmad. Now, as we mentioned, we've been here many times, and every time it's a big privilege when we hear that the Olam are looking to go out and to go and pasture fields that they haven't yet pastured in the past and find something new in the Oimek of Torah. So I'm not worthy of finding something new, but we'll discuss some basic ideas of the Heilige Yontav of Lag BaOmer Haba Aleinu L'Toiva. This Sunday is going to be the 33rd day of the Omer, the day that many people attribute to the Hilula of Reb Shimon Yochai. What is clear is that the Zohar was Niskala on the day of Lag BaOmer, and it's a day of tremendous Yeshuas, as we know, and it's a day that many people on this Allah, especially in Asra Kadish Maran, and a person can get to Maran even by being in Toronto, as we know, this year for sure. Reb Shimon talks about Pneumius. Pneumius means you don't need the Chitzonius. You don't have to be in Maran. In the Olam HaPnimi, you can be in Maran by being here in Agudas Yisrael, Toronto. So let's discuss maybe something that'll be a chizik for all of us. Understanding what Lag BaOmer does for a Yid. So a few things that would like to be makdim. There's a famous minhag that's widespread that people take the kids and they give them a chalaka. They cut their hair on the day of Lag BaOmer. Some kids can be just over 2. As long as they're in the 3rd year, you take this little kid, take him to Maran, and it's beautiful to see if anybody's been there. Put the kids on the shoulders and they dance with them. And there's a certain beauty, a certain chen, when you see these kids getting pairs for the first time in Maran. What's that got to do with the oil of Reb Shimon Yochai? Kids getting their pairs the first time. What's the connection? What's the shaykhs? We find something else that the Shulchan Aruch tells us. Lag BaOmer and Purim have something in common. And the Shulchan Aruch says, V'simnach Peleg. Orechaim Tov Chav Ches LaOlam Chal Lag BaOmer BeOisa Yom BeShavua She BeOisa Shana Chal Purim. This year Purim was Tavshin Pei Dalet. Purim was on a Sunday, and Lag BaOmer is also going to be on a Sunday. It's always the same day. The Simnach Peleg Pei Lamed Gimel. Pei is Purim. Lamed Gimel is Lamed Gimel Omer. This is the simon to know. Purim and Lag BaOmer have something in common. What's the connection between Purim and Lag BaOmer? This year especially, we're celebrating a Purim that this Russia from Iran was killed, the Misa Meshuna, and this is a shtikla Purim this year that was Zoicha. And we say that in the Yochai, Zimmer Kalaritzim, Shimon Yochai got rid of all the Rashaim. But let's try to understand what this can mean, that Purim and Lag BaOmer have something in common. I got a sefer last year from the Talner Rebbe, was here in Toronto, and he gave me a sefer called Tiferes Yidden from his Zayda. And he writes over here an interesting thought. What could be the connection between Purim and Lag BaOmer? We find a common denominator between these 2 days. Chazal tell us all the Meyadim will become bottled. Other Yomim Tovim won't necessarily continue. But nevertheless, Yemei HaPurim Lo Yiyu Niftalim La'olam. Purim will always be, as the Pasuk says, Yemei HaPurim Ha'ele Lo Yavru Mitoich HaYehudim V'zichram L'Yosef Mizaram. The aura of Purim, the light of Purim, is something that's eternal and it's everlasting. And we find the same idea by LAAD Baomer. LAAD Baomer is also eternal. Chazal tell us, and he doesn't say this is Nichlal in his words. The Gemara says in Shabbos that the Chachmei Yisrael said, Torah is going to be forgotten. Asida Torah shetishtachach mi Yisrael. There'll come a day that Torah will be forgotten. Stood Reb Shimon Yochai Raglov, came Reb Shimon Yochai, says never. That's not going to happen. Torah will never be forgotten in Klal Yisrael, as he said, the Lashon in the Gemara, ki lois yishakach b'pi zaroi, which lois yishakach ki lois yishakach b'pi zaroi is soif teves Yochai. Yud Aleph Ches Yud Vav is Yochai. Yochai is the soif teves lois yishakach b'pi zaroi, because Reb Shimon Yochai says it's got to be eternal. It's got to be everlasting. I once saw Reb Yoir shlita. He explained what was the machloikas over here. The Chachmei Yisrael said Torah is going to be forgotten. He said it's not. They're arguing about facts. No. He said a muscle. You have Rahman al-Islam. You see somebody falling out of a building, a kid from the 7th floor. There'll be bystanders there that will say, this kid is not going to make it. He's falling from 7 floors down. There's no chance. Somebody says, what are you talking about? I'll make sure that he's going to make it. I'm going to run with a pillow. I'm going to come with first aid. I'll make sure he'll make it. Who was right and who was wrong? They were right. Naturally, the way it looks, somebody falling from the 7th floor will not make it. This person says, you're right, but I'm going to do something to make sure that he will make it. Chachmei Yisrael said, we see how the generations decline. Generation after generation, it goes lower and lower and lower. There'll be a generation of godless America, and it's impossible. Physically, spiritually, we can't survive. How can we survive? We've got to go through Auschwitz, when we're going to have this redifa and that challenge. We're going downhill. Says Reb Shimon Yochai, I'm going to do something that's going to make them survive. There's got to be a light of the Zohar. There's got to be a light of Pnimius, that will be the remedy that they will survive. You're right. Without the light that Reb Shimon Yochai brings to the table, then you're right, it'll be forgotten. But I'm going to make something that will cause kiloisi shakach b'pi zari. And this is also a remez in one of the Makoros of LAAD Baomer. There's one of the remozim of LAAD Baomer is from the pasuk that it says in BEREISHIS Lamed Aleph Mem Zayin B'Yaakov Kareloi Gal Eid Eid Hagala Zeh VeEida Matzeva. Gal Eid is Lamed Dalet, and the pasuk says that this Gal Eid will be forever, will be nitzchistic. Loi Savoy Es Hagala Zeh. It'll never be Loi Savoy, like you have the Lashon by Purim. Lo yavru, eid hagala zeh lo savoy. It won't be over. Savoy, over. It won't be over. It's got to be forever. Like Baomer, it's got to do with nitzchias, got to do with being forever. Purim has to do with something that is connected to nitzchias. Purim eile lo yavru mitoich Yehudim. But what happens exactly on Purim? What happens on LAAD Baomer to make sure that it'll be forever? What did Reb Shimon Yochai do to cause there shouldn't be such a concept of shikha? We find in the Megillah that Haman Rasha came and he said to the Melech is the Eibishter. Yeshnoi am echad mefuzim afoyret. Say Chazal, what's Yeshnoi mean? Yeshnoi is a lashon of sleeping. Yeshenim heim in a mitzvahs. They are tired of mitzvahs. The Medrash says a lashon, Elokeim Yoshan Hu. Their God is sleeping. Really? Does Haman really think that there's a concept of sleep by the Eibishter? Anybody that understands anything knows it's impossible to think and entertain a tzad that Elokeim Yoshan Hu. What does that mean? It means the Elikus that inside the person's asleep. Haman says, I see these guys. They are enjoying a good time by the Sudat HaChashverosh. The spiritual chelik is dormant. There's an verschlafen. Elokeim shel elu yoshanhu. There's no chance they'll do tshuva. There's no chance they will manage. They're over and out. Forget about them. That was the clipper of Haman. That was the kitrug of Haman. What did Mordechai Tzaddik do to revive Klal Yisrael? Say Chazal. He brought together 22,000 Yaldei Yisrael. 22,000 children. So on the surface, it means he looked for kids under the age of 12, bar mitzvah, okay, we're going to come together. And they made the Abbas Sibonim, Yeshivas Mordechai Tzadik. That's what the Gemara says, but it means something a lot deeper. In every Yid, there lies a child. As old as he may be, he could be 65, 75, or 93. Nevertheless, there's inside him a chelik hayelet. There's a chelik of a child that's fresh, that's awake, that's thirsty, that wants, that has aspirations and desires to grow. And what Mordechai Tzaddik did, he was counteracting the clipper of Haman that says, we are asleep, Klal Yisrael are dead inside, there's nothing to awaken them. Not true. There's something called Yaldei Yisrael. There's something as a child that every person has. As the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, Elisha ben Avuya said, Haloimed Yeled L'mahu Doima. When a person learns when he's a child, says the Mishnah, what is it like? It's like somebody writes with ink on a fresh piece of paper. Says this Fasemes, how old do you have to be a Yeled? V'shia Yeled hu oid nishmasa boy nikra oid Yeled liyom shel achakach shnas zokin. There's no dead end. There's no cut-off point when a person's not called a Yeled. Oh, I became 70, no longer a Yeled. Chas v'shalom. Every Yid is a Yeled. Every Yid has a chelik of child inside him. When a person awakens that chelik of Yaldos inside him, then what he writes that day, that is ksuva al ner chodesh. And that's what Mordechai Tzaddik did. He woke up the concept of Zera Yisrael, the chelik of Yaldus that lies within every Yid. And Zeresh understood this. Zeresh saw this. What did Zeresh tell Haman Rosh after he came home, after he took Haman on the horse? He said to Mordechai Tzaddik, to Haman Rosh, listen here, Haman, dear husband, with all due respect, normally translate this to mean, if Mordechai Tzaddik is a Yid, then you're finished. Forget it. It's over. What do you mean if? If Mordechai Tzaddik is a Yid, is this a question? But let's go look in the archives. Look at his ID. Oh, yeah, Yid Mordechai Tzaddik. That was a question. If it's a Yid. If it's not, then we're good. If it's a Yid, then you have tzaras. He was called Mordechai Yehudi Asher Yoshev B'Shar HaMelech. There was a question if it's called a Yid. Says Rameh Shapiro, famous word in Imre Das, it's printed. He means to say like this. If it's true, Haman, that Mordechai Tzaddik gathered together the children, and he made an asifer of the Zera Yisrael, if he has that schus, then you're finished. If he didn't do that, if those rumors are false, then we have a chance to overcome Mordechai. But if it's true that he has a koyach of mi Zera Yehudim, then you are over. Then you are history. And she was right. Since Mordechai Tzaddik had the zechus of Zera Yehudim, then she knew there's no hope. And this is the understanding. She knew the koyach of Haman is only when we are asleep and we are dormant and there's nothing that wakes up inside us. Then you have a koyach of Yeshne Amechad, and then you don't have this Na Yisrael Vaveil, and then Haman has a koyach, Amalek has a koyach, and then Chas v'Shalom, he can be successful. But in Zera Yehudim, if there's Zera Yehudim in the Yidden, he awakened that chelik, Loi Sucha Loi Kinafel Sipol Aponom, then you will fall in front of him, and there's no chance that you're going to survive. And this is the koyach of Reb Shimon Yochai. State in Agri the Kala. Agri the Kala from the Heilige B'nai Sascha gives a lot of remozim in Reb Shimon Yochai, and he writes, the word BEREISHIS, the first word in the Torah, has many, many tzrufim, hundreds, thousands of tzrufim that are nirmat in the word BEREISHIS. One of them is, the word BEREISHIS is Rosh Tevas, Or, Toiras, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The word BEREISHIS is Or, Toiras, Reb Shimon Yochai, and he writes, Hu asher shalcha Elokim lemichya lahoir eine Yisrael ba'or terasai. Straight the B'nai Sascha. BEREISHIS, the first word, is a remez to Reb Shimon Yochai. Why is the word BEREISHIS a remez? You know what BEREISHIS means? There's always a new beginning. A person can be old, and a person can feel that he's asleep, but they can always start a new BEREISHIS, a new beginning. There can be a Zera Yehudim, a new Haschala, a new beginning. Says Reb Shimon Yochai, I'll awaken a chelik of Zaroi inside every Yid. There's a BEREISHIS. There's a new beginning. We don't come to an end. It's not a dead end. There's never a dead end by Yid. As old as he is, as tired as he may think he is, there's a BEREISHIS. There's a beginning. There's a Zera HaYehudim and there's Na Yisrael Vaveu. And that is the secret of Reb Shimon bar Yochai. And let's take this a little deeper. These days of Sfiras Omer, we say the Rebbeinu Shloim, we talk about deep secrets of Kabbalah, and especially the day of LAAD Baomer, everybody becomes a Mekubal. So let's learn a little bit what's brought down in Tzfarim and in the beautiful sefer called Kedai Reb Shimon that elaborates on this. The Talmidei Reb Kiva died with Nifter for 33 days until the day of LAAD Baomer. On the day of LAAD Baomer, there was a tikkun, there was a mituk, a sweetening of the midas Hadin. There was a midas Hadin that was metucha on the Talmidei Reb Kiva and caused them to die. 700 Talmidim a day. Comes like Baomer, they stopped. What's the pshat? The Sfarim HaKadoshim tell us, based on words of the Arizal, what's the shoyresh of midas Hadin in the world? Midas Hadin comes from the Shem Elokim. Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, and the Mem. Those letters are the shoyresh of din. How is one mamtik the din? You take the letters before Elokim. Tzdikim touched, Chassidish Sfarim say, but Tzdikim yaltu yismechu lefnei Elokim. You have to look at the letters before Elokim. So what are the letters before Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem? Is the letters before Aleph? Can't go before Aleph. Is Aleph. You stick to an Aleph. Before the Lamed comes a Chaf. Before the Hey comes a Dalet. Before the Yud comes a Tes. The Mem stays a Mem. The Mem's a Mem. Before the end of Mem is a Mem. It's all the same Mem. What's the gematria of Aleph, Chaf, Dalet, Tes, Mem? The gematria is 74. 74 is the Shem HaBitachon. Bitchu Bashem Adei Ad. Ayin Dalet, that's the Shem of the Bitachon. And that is the mituk of the Shem Elokim. When you have the Ayin Dalet, which is the Bitachon, then a person can sweeten the midas Hadin, and then the person gets Yeshua. That's what happens LAAD Baomer. And he writes, the result. Which letters of Elokim are the real shoyresh of din? The real letters of the midas Hadin is the Aleph, is the Lamed Hey Yud. Lamed Hey Yud, those are the shoyresh of din. What are the letters before Lamed Hey Yud? Is Chaf, Dalet, Tes. The shoyresh of Elokim is Lamed Hey Yud. The letters before that is Chaf, Dalet, Tes. What's the gematria of Chaf? Is 20. Tes is 9. And Dalet is 33. That's LAAD Baomer. The mituk of LAAD Baomer is 33, which is the letters Chaf, Dalet, Tes. And it was said 3 years ago, the most unbelievable thing that shakes a person's mind. Mamish. Miron, Tavshin Pei Aleph, a terrible thing happened. And it was the midas Hadin and that LAAD Baomer. How many people died that LAAD Baomer? 45. That's the gematria of Lamed Hey Yud. The din is Lamed Hey Yud. Normally, LAAD Baomer is supposed to have the mituk, supposed to be sweetened by the Chaf, Tes, Dalet, which is 33. That didn't happen, for whichever reason. And we were left with the midas Hadin of Lamed Hey Yud, which is 45. That's Lamed Hey Yud. The 45 gets nimtak with the Chaf, Tes, Dalet, which is 33. The 33 sweetens the 45. And this is the Shema B'tachon. And this is what a person has to do when a person finds himself in a matzav of din. The way we get out of din is with the Shema B'tachon, Bitchu B'Shem Adei Ad. What does this have to do with LAAD Baomer? Where do we find this idea of B'tachon in LAAD Baomer? So the Sfarim tell us, and this sefer that I mentioned elaborates on this thought. Reb Akiva lost 24,000 Talmidim. A normal person, after losing 24,000 Talmidim that he built up over 24 years, he came from being an Amoritz, and he worked his way up, and he built his yeshiva up. And in 33 days, he loses everything. Normally, a person naturally would be broken and decide, it's over. I'm done. Maybe next Gilgal. I'm not going to continue on opening the yeshiva. You see, I'm not successful. He'll give up. Comes along Reb Akiva and says, no, I don't work like that. I look forward for the future. Now I start again. A new BEREISHIS, a new beginning, and I'm going to get together 5 Talmidim. This is a result of somebody's betachon. Betachon means what happened till now happened, but tomorrow is going to be better. Tomorrow will be different. I don't prove from the past what's going to be the future. A person that's the betech b'Hashem chesed yisoy v'venu is mamtik the din. In the deeper sense, din comes from tzimtzum. The shoyrish of din, as we know, is all the ender letters of the aleph base. Those are the shoyrish of din. The peireish dinim, 280 dinim, which is the gematria of all the enders, and the chaf, and the mem, and the tzaddik, and the pei, all gematria peireish, which means comes to an end. And then means it's tzimtzum, it's closed in. I'm stuck. Stuck, that's din. When you open up the horizons, that brings chesed, that brings mituk, that brings chasadim. Like Baomer was the day that we are mamtik the din. Din means it's going to come to an end. That's what din tries to do. Comes along the chaf dalet test or the shem ayin dalet, says no. There's another destination. You're not finished yet. Bitchu b'Hashem adei ad. Continue. Find the BEREISHIS inside you. Find the nar inside you. Awaken something new. Don't just give up. Don't despair. Remember, there's a future. There's an asid. And this is the tikkun that happened on this day of Lag BaOmer. And this is a celebration that Klal Yisrael have the ability, after all they went through, to start again and find reservoirs of energy inside themselves. Find this child. Find this beginner of Yaldus inside them. And this is the simcha of Lag BaOmer. And that's why Lag BaOmer is forever. The Beis Aaron writes, famous Beis Aaron of Kalin, Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lakoil, Af Reb Shimon V'Yochai Lakoil, Af Lepchusim. Even people that are pchusim, even people that are not a big madrega, on Lag BaOmer they have a tikkun, have an aliyah. A person that lives in a life of pchisus, his biggest problem is that he thinks he's stuck. This is who I am. This is my personality. This is my nature. These are my desires. I've never managed to conquer them till now, and I'm not going to manage to conquer them going forward. Comes Lag BaOmer, says Reb Shimon Yochai, I'm going to awaken something called Zaroi. Like Shakach, Mipi, Zaroi. Remember, you're a child still. Remember, there's a BEREISHIS. There's a beginning. There's a mituk of a day ad. That's what happens in Lag BaOmer. What's the concept of hair? That we cut the hair of a child. Steht in Arvanachel and Pashas Behar. Noida. Ki asarois moirim ala moistris. Sarois have to do with extras. They're extra on the person. A person that's involved in Gashmias represents that with having long hair. That's why we find that Levium, they became Levium, they cut off all the hair. You want to be Rachni? Get rid of that hair. Hair is moisturous, but it's not necessary. As the Yaris Tavash writes in Pash Tzeh, the Gilchas Roisha, Lakach Tzorech Lamayat Kemishpat Abal Tshuva, Lebal Yachsil Suroi. Get rid of the extras. A person naturally has a desire to do something new. A person can take 2 routes. Or he can get involved in the Olam HaGashmi and find out who has the best food and find a new restaurant, a new source of recreation, and fill his desire for something new there, and that's moisturous. Or take it to the world of BEREISHIS, take it to the world of Zaroi. A person can choose. Take it the way Reb Shimon Yochai wants us to take it, or take it the way the Yetzer Hara wants. So it comes like BaOmer. We celebrate the Yiddish Kinderlach. These Yaldei Yisrael, these pure and innocent children that have a whole life ahead of them, that are full of excitement and aspirations, full of she'ifas, and they know they're going to Maran, they're becoming big, and we cut their hair. We say, this is the way how a person stays a Yeled. How does a person stay a child when he gets rid of those moistures, gets rid of those extras, gets rid of Olam Hazan? He says, that's not where I'm going to find my satisfaction, my sipuk. Say ulmad, I'm going to go out and learn and find something new. Find a new chizuk, a new sefer, a new vart, a new kabbalah, a new commitment. I'm going to do that by getting rid of the hair, get rid of those moistures. This is the mituk that takes place in Lag BaOmer, and this is the light of Reb Shimon Yochai. Said Reb Shimon Yochai, I'm going to make sure when the bia koich of shikcha, shakach, and choshech are the same letters, when it's darkness and it's gloomy, then you forget. Said Reb Shimon Yochai, you're right. The world looks gloomy, but I'm going to do something to bring light into this world. I'm going to be there to catch Klal Yisrael by the oil by this BEREISHIS, by this Yaldei Yisrael, by telling them this is the way. Just get rid of that hair, and then you'll find the BEREISHIS inside you. You'll find like the Shachach Bizaroi, and the Torah will never be forgotten. The Choshech will turn into Oir, and we'll have the light of the Zohar or B'Shem Yochai. Terasai Magen Lanu, Himi Yiretz Hanenu, Yamletz Tai Badenu, Adonenu B'Yochai.
Yeah, we got you hear that, right? Aaron, you got a head start. You got a head start.
Yeah.
I was not familiar with that word.
He was lifted like Baomer.
Yeah.
The day he was lifted, then he got out of the Zohar.
It's like brought down something.
Yeah. Where? Maybe the Chidor writes that. That's like the
How did that it's like that's what people
I've heard that. I mean, because before a person gets lifted, he gets new.
right, get quite
Some part of the Zohar.
people take from him. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that project was in the north today. It's a project in the Zara.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mordechai.
You have a good one.
Oh, wow.
Not Lubavitcher. Don't start with the
Yeah, the whole thing, how he ties everything together.
Reservoir of energy.
Beautiful.
That's what he is. I am collecting for sponsorships. Sponsor of LAAD given by Shimon.